Amazing view, amazing view. Just let me switch on to the front facing camera. Here we are. So, hello and welcome to Podcast with Neil. So, during this PL weekly review, there were very good matches on this weekend. But before that, just let me set down my camera. टोपी ठीक कर लेता हूँ. Swag लग रहा है ना? Come on to the comments. Come on to the comments. I've been wearing very different types of caps these days. So come on to the comments and tell me which color actually suits me. Before that, banner नहीं चल रहा. Before that, very interesting set of matches this weekend. Number one, it started with the United West Ham game where United fell behind and then they made their way back and came into the proceedings after. Like this has been a habit of Manchester United. Whenever we watch their matches, they concede first, then they get some sort of a boost, and they go on and they kick on from there. But let me tell you this: never expect the Leeds against Chelsea match to be that magnanimous in nature. Like Leeds, we know what we are going to get with Leeds United, right? Marcelo Bielsa with his counter pressing, again pressing, his high pressure tactics. But however people may rate Marcelo Bielsa, I believe that Marcelo Bielsa with these kind of a teams plays a lot of gambles. Like we know against Leeds not playing in any European competitions, having the week off, they'll get their energy for the players to press high. Yes, he is tactically adept, tactically inept in his ways, but at the same moment of time, you cannot expect that to get away without quality. The only two quality players in their team are Rafinha and your Calvin Phillips. Bamford is so and so a striker. They brought in Rodrigo Moreno from Valencia, but still he has not yet kicked on to be that first team striker. Like Leeds United can spend 30 million on a striker who sits on a bench. I have no clue about that. I do not understand that how the Premier League works. That a relegated team can buy its striker from Valencia for 30 odd million and stick him up on a bench. Tactical decisions aside, what Leeds United did that halted their progress. They played well. They played well, but the lack of understanding, like they go man for man in every way aspect of the match. First, they tried to cover up Giroud with one of the center backs. You know that you cannot outstrength Giroud. You can outpace him, you cannot outstrength Giroud, and they had pace out the flanks. Ziyech was a big miss because he went off injured, or the scoreline could have been much higher, 4-1, 5-1, very easily, very easily. Timo Werner with stupid misses and costing me FPL points. I don't know how to say that. But at the end of the day, Chelsea came through, and this side just looks like a team with grit, a team with determination, and team that looks to finish in the top two. There's no two ways about it. And the other half of the North London derby, if I must say, that I never expected Arsenal to be such cockish, but Arsenal are Arsenal at this point of time. They have taken the serial bottlers tone from Tottenham itself, and like, how the hell does one coach play Partey as a playmaker? Partey as a playmaker and Xhaka as a holding midfielder. I know Arteta has the eye for the, what can I say, stupid things, but you cannot just do that, man. You cannot just do that. Play Partey as a playmaker. He went off with a hamstring injury clutching his thigh. But route one, Jose, you get your ball, you turn over the possession, there's a huge transition, and Son and Kane, unlike Gerrard and Torres or York and Cole, or even your Benzimas and Cristiano Ronaldo's of Real Madrid, he has this simple philosophy. Arteta, the likes of Arteta, the likes of Marcelo Bielsa, overcomplicate things. Yes, route one pressing, Gegen pressing, copying Liverpool's Klopp's gegen pressing, but that does not always work. Always work. You have the likes of Kovacic, likes the Mason Mount, who are effectively press resistant. All you can hope is for to get a miss pass off of Kante by pressurizing, but we know how swift and agile he is. Even Manchester City had a good game. Raheem Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne converting their chances. Raheem Sterling even was the Raheem Sterling is the player that has won the highest number of penalties in the Premier League ever. Like, not ever, like in the last few seasons, but can it just undermine the fact that Manchester City are behind Manchester United at this point of time, and things can only get better for Manchester United. It started off with Manchester United, Anthony Martial and Edinson Cavani got out injured, but that did not stop them from wreaking havoc in front of goal on the second half. Especially, we have seen these amazing comebacks from them in around 10 minutes. I don't know what goes on into them. I don't know how the team gets in a second wind after 70 minutes, but Mason Greenwood's finish, that was world class. Marcus Rashford should have had a brace, and Bruno Fernandes should have had two assists. Like, this guy is a genius. Coming on to the Palace match, Palace against West Brom, Wilfred Zaha breaks out COVID, takes on two goals and an assist, and I regret so much of transferring him out of my FPL team. Like, why, man? Similarly, Miguel Arteta, I don't know if he has an FPL team or he understands what FPL means, because we all know how Guardiola likes to tamper our minds with his selections on the pitch and send FPL fans into complete rage. But at the same point of time, you look at results. Even United dropped Bruno Fernandes, keeping in mind the Leipzig match in the midweek. And for instance, Leipzig had a 3-all draw with Bayern Munich. They had a 4-3 dramatic win versus Istanbul of Başakşehir. And we understand that they did not have any liberty to rest players. That's one advantage United have going into the last match day. And with Leipzig's pressing, we have seen that Leipzig, if Nagelsmann is intelligent, he will actually save the players for the second half, because that is where they can counter attack, because United will go in for the kill from minute one. Bruno rested, Rashford rested, Martial is supposed to be fit, Cavani is supposed to be fit, Greenwood is firing, Mata would be starting, I'm sure, because that you need that someone press resistant and someone to make those kind of a passes, because Leipzig push very high, very high, and one pass from either Bruno or Mata will unlock that defense. This is a tactic of United that they use solemnly, where they sit back, not like a Jose Mourinho-esque two-man transition, but they sit back, pump the ball up to either Rashford or Bruno. Maybe even we can see a cameo appearance from Dan James if Martial is not fit, because that defense needs stretching. Leipzig three-man defense, if you cannot stretch them, they will halt you. They play through the middle very well. I've seen few goals that they have scored from crosses, until unless David De Gea decides to be a Manuel Neuer and comes rushing off his goal, and stupid decision, really. Why a player like Manuel Neuer needs to do that? Because there was only one place the player was going, Nkunku or whatever it is, I don't know. At the same point of time, I feel that United and PSG are the ones should be going through, and Leipzig, for all their worth, they still have to be classified for all the success. No disrespect to them, all the success in the last season, they still should be in the second division of Europe, because they will lose players at one point or another. But at the same point of time, okay, Pogba, Shom, thanks for joining in. Pogba will play against Leipzig. Probably, probably not, because we see Van de Beek taken off. We see the only way Pogba and Bruno fit in this team is when you play a diamond, and playing diamond against Leipzig is just playing into their hands. Like, they want us to play in a compact way, so they're pressing. See, very basic funda of counter pressing or avoiding the press is that you stretch your players so that the other player has to cover that much of distance to actually press your opponent. Even when it is in Sunal, there will be always one man not marking anyone, because there will be two men, basically one half marking and not one, and one completely not marking. That half marking kind of a player will be the transition setter. The player that is completely not marking will be the recipient of the pass from the transition. So you cannot expect everyone to mark. So the only way I see Pogba playing, if he is defensively resolute, which I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will trust at this point of time, because he has his McTominay. Fred was needed for this game, but he's out, suspended. So I think McTominay and Van de Beek might start, because you need that quick passing and you need players to stretch. Because Leipzig attack through the middle. Very few times they have attacked. You see Upamecano bombing up like Beckenbauer. Just play through the middle, and United play through the left for an instance. Alex Telles needs to have a very good game, for instance. But coming back onto the PL match, the next weekend will be Manchester City versus Manchester United. Fifth and sixth, respectively, if I'm not wrong. At this point of time, City are 1 point behind. We both have a game on hand. And it looks like the Premier League has just opened up again. You cannot expect the Premier League to be this congested at this point of time. But it is what it is. That is the beauty of this league. That is the beauty of this culture. Now, talking about another topic, like I want to bring up this banner. I want to hear your comments out of this. Should Arteta be sacked? Like they have had enough time. Say Jesus, Easter has gone. Jesus Christ is slowly fading away. Aubameyang, like don't understand how Barcelona fans come running and say Aubameyang is back. Aubameyang is back. Black Panther is alive. Why, man? Concentrate on your own league position. You're lost. You just lost to Cadiz for heaven's sake. Like concentrate on your own team. Let Arsenal be Arsenal. If you want, I don't think you want any players from. Stop ripping them. They are bunch of fools trying to play Pep Guardiola away with the players of the class of Hull City. It's just Aubameyang. Like people, like I've seen the unreal hate on Martial, but Lacazette brought from the same amount of price is shitting bricks, and no one bats an eye. No one just bats an eye. Lacazette is shitting bricks from the last 2 3 weeks, and people will say to select Lacazette over Martial. I don't know how in the world that has happened. But Arteta's clearly his philosophy is still way too much inexperienced. But if you are able to get on Ole's back, get on Arteta's. He won that cup because of a few mistakes, few 50-50s going here and there, few decisions on his favor. But Arteta at this point of time he needs to go. Like, do not go to Arsenal fan TV. Do not trust them. I do not trust Storm. I do not trust TY. By like they are pay-per-view channels and they can get clicks out of anything. Like, come on, who the hell with a sense of present sense of mind says that the grass was affecting the players, which is the cold was affecting? Like, yeah, yaar. Are you freaking insane? No, you just Arsenal fans. Anyways, banter aside, Arsenal have a tough couple of fixtures. I don't have the list with me, but December will be very tough because of and squad depths will be tested. See Chelsea going out with flying colors. If United getting back Luke Shaw will be very important for United. Uh, City, their squad depth is unquestionable, and they'll gain their places up the table. Liverpool are having already they already have Trent Alexander-Arnold back, who was sidelined for at least 6 to 8 weeks. He's already back. Van Dijk is already training. Players coming in ahead of schedule. That's an immense boost for them. Having the captain back from a long-term injury, immense boost for them. I think at the end we can. I don't know the proper timeline. Someone correct me on this. If Van Dijk can be back by the end of December, Liverpool are sure shot in for the title chance. It will not be Tottenham and Chelsea, because Tottenham at that point of time they have their Europa League fixtures. They want to go further in the Europa League, but at this point of time, it is very difficult to say that how they'll manage considering those fixture congestion, because the PL is already congested because of COVID parameters, and you cannot expect them to have that much of a leeway, because there will be two or three important players that that Mourinho trusts, and they would play him in every, and the competition will get only tougher. You'll have either Real Madrid or Inter Milan joining them, and I don't see them getting out. Antonio Conte has had it over, like he has his fixation with United players, so he can stay in the Europa League, while we can hopefully we can get out on the Champions League, and I'm confident about it. Like whenever Ole's back is pegged against the wall, he becomes Sir Alex Ferguson, and he's like watching the watch. I don't have a watch, so he's watching the watch, chewing gums, and imitating Sir Alex Ferguson, hoping to get out. And he's been doing that on a consistent basis. You cannot blame the man. Like why? And I even think in this group of death, just when the group was drawn, you'd expect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be in the Europa League, because PSG Leipzig, one finalist, one semi-finalist, one quarter finalist, if I'm not wrong. He's stopping the group. At this point of time, he's stopping the group. Don't care about how much possession Leipzig had against us. Even the PSG match, we bossed them. Second half, and there was a 26-minute spell, accurately 26-minute spell, where PSG could not get hold of the ball. And match should have been 5-1 in our favor. But football is a game of 50-50s, and it is a game of chance, and we cannot just go on lamenting other fixtures. But hopefully, Wednesday we go through. Arteta, Arteta at this point of time. Okay, Shreyan, thanks. I want Arteta to stay so that AFT with it. The Arsenal fans see the same thing about Ole staying at United, but suddenly Ole is doing a magnificent job, and Ole is like one loss away from getting his head chopped off, like guillotined in gruesome fashion. And he wins one again, and they're like, the Ole haters are like, no, I'm not on screen anymore. Ole is here to stay, and that's how impatient United fans are at this point of time. So okay, that's pretty much about it. I have some home chores to do in the roof at this point of time. It's a lovely evening. Just can head over to your rooftops. Sun is just setting, and with that, I'll be also setting. So see you tomorrow. I'll have the Mank tomorrow. I'll have a very special guest. Uh, he's a very well-known figure from the Twitterites, with who's a Manchester United fan. So I'll be hosting him tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube, do leave a subscribe, do leave a like. If you're watching on Facebook, do leave a like, and if you can, just share the video. Just keep supporting me so that something happens in this pandemic, and I can look forward and bring you all and being a part of all your families. So leave a subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Leave a like again. This is Podcast with Neil. Thank you for your time. We'll meet soon again. Bye bye. Take care.